They try to drown me. I can swim upstream so profoundly. I can stay calm in a dire situation. I'm at it every day, no time for a vacation. And I smell blood in the water. Everything I do, yeah, I do it for my daughters. Now I'm gonna shut your lips. It's time for a brand new episode of what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, said it's time for a brand new episode of Talkin Jit.
And clear it out. Hold on, I gotta get this set up. All right, man. Jake, you're back already. So, just posted your episode, and it's already getting popular. It's been like literally posted, 2 days, 3 days, something like that. And it's actually going off pretty well. So thank you for that, man. I don't know if people are just
thank you
online searching for Marines, or if there's something that you said in there that's matching the keywords. But as we talked about a lot of things. Obviously, we're family and we're pretty open with each other. But one thing that we talk about a lot, and you and I have both decided, I think is very important. Not only just mental health, but there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with PTSD, depression, anxiety. And it's almost like you don't see a lot of content. And I don't think people search this kind of content unless they are struggling or unless they are going through it and they need answers.
I would agree.
So for you guys listening at home, this episode is kind of our way of presenting something that I think is a serious issue. And it may not hit thousands and thousands of people like a popular podcast episode does, or some of my episodes do. But this one has a lot more purpose behind it. This episode is sharing coming from a dark place, coming from a place of fear and depression and struggle, and how much your own mind can rip you apart, but how much your own mind can help build you. And it's a lot about perspective. And it's so fucking weird because it's not something that you just like, okay, I'm better. Okay, fuck that. It doesn't exist. It's like, it literally just grabs you by, I don't want to say by the balls because it affects women too, but it definitely like,
Girl ones, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely holds you back, man. It feels like, I mean, man, we've talked about the feeling of just like emptiness beyond what you can comprehend. It's just like you're there and it's like just this weird, vast feeling. You're not there. What is it? Disassociation. Just like stuff like where you just don't feel like you're actually a part of this world. You feel like you're floating. And so this episode, we wanted to give like a short form episode, but for the person out there who is struggling, or if you know someone who's struggling and think that these words can help them, please, just right off the bat, I just want to say, please share it. Please direct them towards help. Sometimes all you need to do is talk. I mean, in my own experience, when I was dealing with massive amounts of anxiety and depression and I couldn't figure it out, I've shared it before on this. I'll just brush on it. But like, I felt like I didn't know what it was. And that's what fucked with me really hard because I didn't know what I was in. I just thought I was broken. And I went through this phase during like 18 to like mid 20s and stuff. So it was like everyone around you is just partying, social as shit, having a great time, always laughing, always smiling. And I was always around these people, just wondering why I'm not doing the same thing. Like, why does this stupid shit not entertain me? Why does this not make me feel good? Why do I feel like I'm the secluded broken one? And that fucked with me hard because once I actually broke, I used to internalize it. And it wasn't until I broke and I started talking about it with people, and everyone wants to text me right now. Hopefully it's not interrupting the show. But when I was going through it, man, that's what messed with me a lot, was because I had no one to relate to. And then like trying to relate with people and trying to talk to them. I have a really good friend, my buddy Brent, and him and I have lived with each other. We've always been really close. he was like one of the first people that like kind of started giving me a little bit of light. And it wasn't necessarily because he's been through it, but it was because I talked to him and I'd shared this with a lot of people and been like, this is how I feel. Like I'm in this weird state. Like I don't know if I'm normal. You know, all those dark thoughts go through your head constantly. You're fighting yourself.
Intrusive, yeah.
Yeah, intrusive. It makes me think of those memes when intrusive thoughts win. You just relate with them, right?
Yeah.
But
You're just like, fuck you. Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I remember he said, and Brent, if you're listening, man, thank you. But like, it was like one of the turning points was like, you're just philosophical. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you just think of things deeply and you're just a philosopher, dude. Like you think you have a philosophical mindset.
Hey, you just gave me chills, man. Yeah.
Right. And when he said that, I was like, it was almost like a weird validation for like thinking different. It didn't heal everything, but it gave me that little like edge and that curve. Like it's possible to think different. Like it's not impossible.
It's probably better to do.
Right. And then, yeah, because think about it. I'm like, he said that and he just so happened to have a quote from Socrates on his fridge.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no. So, well, real quick. So he said that to me and I remember looking at the side of his fridge with this magnet and it was a quote and it said Socrates. And I was like, it was a deep quote. And I was like, some of the best minds thought differently. So it's where I started building my unapologetic different way of thinking, man. And to this day, I'm just like
the perfect way of, I would even go further, unapologetic way of thinking. I would probably add to that and say unabided, how do I put this? A complete freedom of thought with no fear of the judgment of others.
Yeah, 100%. And it's great because it kind of works both ways. Because although I start understanding this for myself, I start accepting other people for theirs.
Big time.
When a weird person walks in the room, I'm not the guy who's like, he's a fucking weirdo. Fuck that guy. I'm like, oh, he just thinks differently, man.
Yeah, it's like, I wonder what his story is. Probably could learn something from him.
Yeah, if you're not harming anyone, it's like, think differently, man. Maybe you'll solve something one day.
Exactly.
And so for me, and that's just kind of like my intro, but for me, that was like one of the first turning points of me dealing with the shit. You've got your own experiences, you've got your own background. I don't want to speak for you. So whatever you are comfortable sharing, which I know you're an open book, so I don't think there's much you care to avoid, but I'm honored and I'm happy that although you suffered and suffer, I'm honored and happy that
we all do.
You're still tough enough and mentally here enough to try to help others. Like it says a lot. Like you could easily be the person sitting there like, I need help and feel bad for me and I'm struggling and I can't do right. And you also choose while down in that moment to drag someone else out of the trenches, you know?
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's the true definition of love, even if you don't know them. I mean, we're all connected one way or another. I believe so, at least. And if you're not, even in your darkest moments, at least trying to be the person that can bring someone even past you, then what the fuck are we doing as human beings, So what was your original question? I apologize.
I don't think I had one. I think I just went off. But my question the question that's lingering in my head is like, what did you have to deal with? And what pulls you out of it or motivates you not to give up, go do something crazy?
Well, I'll say the way it hit me, my issues was it was a complete fucking blindside cheap shot. And like nothing I ever did or experienced, like there's, of course, don't get me wrong, I've had the saddest days of my life in my experience in Afghanistan and thereafter. I never discredited those feelings. It was complete fucking tragedy at points. And but none of the things like saw or did ever bothered me. It's like it went from front to back straight away. It just never I didn't give a fuck. And I actually was in the point of like PTSD. Like I was the guy that was in my head. Like I wouldn't say it out loud, to be a fucking dick, but like in my head, I'm like, fucking pussies, like PTSD. Oh yeah, whatever, fucking moron. You know, I was like, that don't. That was my mentality because I was just, I don't know, young, dumb, fucking naive, just maybe stuck in the moment. I was
Mm-hmm.
still in my OODA loop. I didn't slow down enough for reality to hit me. I don't know. I don't. I always pride myself on humility, but I think I went too far with the warrior mentality of like sometimes it is okay to have a weak point, you know. So I remember after my brother got extremely wounded, and I got wounded, but not like him, and was able to escort him home and take care of him. I would drive down to Balboa Hospital down there, San Diego, every day just to see him and see how his treatment's doing and stuff. Eventually, he got the green light to go home. So I flew back with my dad to go drive out with the car to pick him up. And so we drove through the desert and stuff like that. We picked him up anyways. We're heading, this is my entire, I will say this is going to be a really, really weird, but I'm open about this, and I guess whoever's hopefully can relate. I started having signs before I went out west to pick my brother up and take him home. It was just, I started having these weird intrusive thoughts that didn't make sense. At the time I was drinking heavily, so I attributed it to that. But it was different. It just didn't make sense to the point where I started feeling that burning skin feeling, like sweating. I just didn't know. It was a completely foreign feeling. I didn't have a complete meltdown yet, but it was all these things that like my mind was just like plugging me with, just like horrible things that completely arbitrary to who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my walk, freaked me out. It was kind of like an omen. So fast forward, me and my dad, my brother, are driving through the desert in Arizona, I believe, on like the I-10 East, and it's like nothing but fucking desert. And I started having that shit happen to me again, and all hell broke loose. We're in the fucking desert. There's nowhere to go, and I had my full-blown panic attack, and I've never had one before.
Right.
And I just remember the feeling of all I need, like, I felt like. Now I'm never, for those who are listening, I'm never going to like I feel for the ones who take their own lives. I will never, but I felt at that moment was the first time I recognized how someone could do it because it was sheer panic, sheer disassociation. The only thing I could think of was like if I had my handgun, would just do it or like run into the desert and just keep running until what the fuck ever is happening stops. I opened the door, like I was close to fucking running through the desert. It was the most horrible feeling I've experienced my entire life. But then it didn't stop. That was
Yeah.
the first day, and it got worse and worse and worse to the point where I was a completely different fucking person. It wasn't until I recognized it wasn't me that I started to kind of bring myself out. I started doing research, and I started treating it like the common cold. When you have the common cold, you have symptoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not you. So all this shit is not you. It's symptoms of what you have. So you're still at the core. You're just all you got to do is beat off the symptoms. It's not you. Separate it. It's fine. Let it pass like a cloud. So I started kind of this cognitive thinking process of recognizing that and compartmentalizing those feelings. Even if I was in a full blown panic attack, like for years till this date, and actually until about maybe a week ago, I wake up every morning with these surges of adrenaline. I'm puking in the toilet. I have such bad panic attacks. I'm puking in the toilet. I can't sleep. I still can't sleep. I don't go to sleep till like 4 in the morning. I wake up at fucking what 6, and then on and off until 8. Maybe you know how that goes.
That cortisol dump.
Cortisol dump, man. It's a bitch. And so, that shit's real.
So like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just for me. It hit me like nothing ever bothered me in the front, and it was like the back was just fucking waiting, and the
Just
levee broke. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I mean, it's funny you kind of say that because I remember I dealt with it like probably like 15 to 18. 15, 17, whatever, a couple years. Hit me hard. I got through it. I didn't know what it was. I never identified it. It was just like, damn, I feel like shit. I got panics. I'm depressed because of it. Like I'm like scared of myself. But you know, you got a lot going on at that age. And I kind of shook it and just was like, all right, that'll never happen again. I got happy feelings again. And then it was almost like a year or two later, like kind of what you said. I was like out drinking. All of a sudden it hit me like a wave. And then I was just like, why can't I not feel good? Why is nothing making me happy? Why is this? Why is that? And then like, so I think like it's important to kind of touch up on that panic, like to break it down a little bit. There's a really big wave of panic. And in my head, one of the important things is to conquer that panic, because panic is related to fear, and fear is also related to anxiety. Anxiety leads to depression. So like, I remember when I got that wave again, it kind of flashed back. Like I was like, shit, like, oh no, it's coming again. It's coming again. And then like it hit me, and then I had to drive home from Tallahassee by myself. And I remember I just sat in the car, that like 4-hour drive, just nonstop. And I'm an overthinker like you are. And nonstop thinking and thinking and thinking. I couldn't break it. And I'm just like, when I get home, I'm going to talk to I'm going to go home, and then I'm going to go talk to my mom. I'm going to go talk. And like, I was just like, I don't know why I feel bad. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what's going on. And like, you know, I was panicking, trying to get answers like a kid from like, you know, grandma, mom, like whatever, like you go.
That's where it brings you.
Yeah. And like, it sucked ass back then, but now
it sucks ass now.
It does suck ass, yes.
You know?
But it brings you to a deep part that I think is definitely worth pushing through. I mean, I remember,
it gives you that positive resistance.
Yeah, and you wonder, and that's why you said like you would never do it. I would never want to do it. I found myself thinking like, if I can get through one day of this, I'm sure I can get through years of it. And if I can get through years of it, I can probably get through centuries of it. And I was just in my head, I'm like, well, my life, fortunately, like, wouldn't it be worth ruining my family's? You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah. You know, think of it's, and it's funny. I want to back you up a little bit for this. Am I mumbling too much with this dip in my mouth?
No.
About your comparison in time. There's a thing. I just had this conversation with Amy's son, my girlfriend's son, Blake, about we're working out in the garage, and there's a concept that I came up with. I mean, I'm sure it's many people's concept. For me, I came up with it on my own. No one taught me. I just kind of had it in my. When I was in the Marine Corps, you had to do these things like, you know, do 100 crunches or whatever. You're working out, whatever the fuck. Don't count to 100. Count to 5, then count to 5 again.
20 times.
Then count to 5 again, or maybe 10. If it's 10's your number, count to 10, and do another 10. And it's just like that. Literally pushes you further than looking at the mountain.
Have you heard my episode on here called Breaking It Down?
Oh, I believe that was one of the first ones you sent me.
Is it really? Yeah, so I talked about that method, and it's cool that you were not saying you took.
I have like short term. I'm so sorry. I don't mean I have like short
term. No. I'm sure I think it's a mental hack. Like I really do.
It's a total mental hack, and it's
I'm happy you said that, because I'm happy you said that, because I'm sure you've used it before. You've heard my episode, but like, it's true. It's like if you think of the whole pie, you're like, fuck, that's a lot of pie. Chris from the gym, he said like, if someone told you how to eat a rhino, you had to eat a rhino, how would you do it?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time, and that's what it is. And actually, when we're training, man, sometimes I'm like, fuck, like I gotta do a 6-minute round.
That's why I do my breathing. I'm like, okay, I'm still breathing. Okay.
Or I just do 2-minute round 3 times, or like a 3-minute round twice. Like you get through the first 3 minutes, you're like, I do it all the time.
Yeah, you can totally transcend that whole exhaustion or whatever it may be task completely.
It helped me in the last tournament I did, because I kind of bullshit, but I lost a bunch of points. I'll never let it go. I got down a lot of points in the very beginning due to a series of unfortunate events. I had to kind of do it. Like I kind of used that technique because I was down a lot of points, and I knew, okay, we got about like 4 minutes left. that's like a third of, I still got 2/3 of this round done. Like it mentally, instead of being like, fuck, I still got 4 minutes. This is going to be hard. I got to get this many points in 4 minutes. I was like, okay, well, now I'm motivated to like push. If I push through 2 minutes hard, I could push through another 2 minutes hard. It's only 2 minutes. I'm like, I can push the pace for 2 minutes. And then after that, all I have to do is push the pace another 2 minutes if I really have to.
And then breathe like you're at one.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh. And so I was just breaking it down and stuff, and it helped me a lot. And then
I love that mentality. You hit the nail on the head.
no, you hit the nail on the head. You're the one who brought it up, bro. But
We are
that's
the same.
right. That's what I'm saying, man. And a lot of times it is worth not being an NPC and just kind of taking it apart.
I think that's absolutely fucking imperative, because then where's the progress?
Exactly. I truly believe, I mean, everything in like life is, what is it? Subjective. Everything in life is subjective. But like
And relative.
and relative. And when you're dealing with this kind of mental cloudiness and the stuff that we're talking about, you're just working out a lot of loose ends in your head. It's almost like a growth spurt for your head, I think sometimes. Like it's like you're unraveling everything to put it back together even better, like a muscle. Like I truly think it's like a muscle. And I remember nights like wondering, like, fuck, is this worth it? Like, am I ever going to be the same? Am I broken forever? Just over time, I'm like, man, I got through all that stuff and sorted it out. And I just remember thinking, like, this is going to be forever. And I'll never see the days where I accept it, or I'll never see the days where I have my answer, or I'll never see the days like I'm always going to be like this. And like, it's really hard when you're down in the trench it's really hard to like understand that there will be better days. It's hard to be like in such a dark spot that there is still a sunny spot to enjoy. Like you're just like, no, I like it here. I'm comfortable with being miserable. I'm fine.
That is actually a dark poison that taints us all. But to back up too, just like the old sailor saying that all the new sailors, so that they, I believe, and I'm probably wrong, like new deckhands back in the day, they get those tattoos, hold fast.
Mhm.
And it's to weather the storm. All you have to do is hold fast. My dad told me the night I had first panic attack, actually out on the side of the road in the desert. I'm in the fucking fetal position, and my dad rushes out of the car, and he just holds my back, and he just kept repeating, "This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass." And
What did
there's some. Go ahead.
you think at that moment when
I still hear his voice.
you were in that moment so broken that you're on the ground doing that and your dad rubbing your back?
Yep.
Where is your head? Like what's going through your head?
All I could feel was the sand. Like I was gripping the sand and like moved my hands around in the sand, and I heard his voice, and eventually I was able to stop shaking. I eventually was able to stand up and breathe, and then I remember he sat me back in the back of the truck, and I just rolled the window down, and I kind of stuck my head out like a dog in the wind, just to have something to feel
Mm-hmm.
and bring me to the moment, like bring me present instead of being completely disassociated and freaking the fuck out. And I just remember falling asleep because I was so exhausted mentally. I just fell asleep to the feeling of the wind in my face.
So you were able to calm down and get through it.
You always can.
Yeah.
I had a point to make too when you were saying before I cut you off. I apologize. I had a good point.
What was it?
It was before you were talking about little moments.
Like breaking stuff. Are you talking about when I was talking about breaking stuff down?
Yeah, it's because continue. I lost it. It's all right.
My bad, dude.
No, it's my bad. I interrupted you.
But yeah, so in this dark moment, and it hits you like a ton of bricks, I just want to make it clear that like, there's always, you never know, things can change so fast, like for the worse, but also for the better. I mean, and I really think, and I don't know if you mind if I share like how you've been coming, like how we've been getting into jiu-jitsu and all the people you've talked to and stuff. I don't know, mind if you I don't know if you mind me sharing all of that.
I don't mind anything.
But like, you know, you've met these guys that have told you, and it's so cliche, but they're like, I literally think it saved my life. It just like there's a lot. It's kind of a stupid sport to watch. It's like not very entertaining. It's not.
Unless you're in it.
It's like it's not badass to watch, and it's like there's a lot of stupid people in it. I mean, but like out of all the martial arts I've done, like it is the best community. It really is, which is what I told you. But there's like little things that like I pick up that I realize like apply to life, like you know, breaking stuff down into smaller, easier to manage intervals. I mean, like the challenges of like showing up and getting through anxiety. Like, you know, a lot of times you're scared to go to the gym. You're like, fuck, there's a lot of pressure. I don't want this guy to beat me today. I'm not a bitch. I don't want to go out there and people think I'm a bitch, you know? And there's just, there's a lot. Like, you know, your dad's patting you on the back and you're sitting there shaking. And it's like, somehow you're able to calm and, you know, like this too shall pass. It taught me like a lot. Like, here's where I was going with this. Like, how quick things can change. Like, so when you go through times of training, I'm sorry to bore the people who are into jiu-jitsu, but just hear me out on this. When you go through times of training, there's times where like I remember personally in my experience, like blue belt, my guard passing was really good. I could like pass a lot of people's guard. I was super confident. I'm like, man, my guard passing, I got this shit down. Nobody's gonna hold me in their guard. I'm gonna get through that bitch. And then like there'd just be a day I show up and it didn't work at all. I was trash. I was hot garbage. Like I had nothing. Like I'm like, my guard pass ain't working and I didn't get shit. And then you go home and you're like, I fucking suck. I suck. Like I thought I was good. Here I am just a little bitch. Like I haven't gotten better. I'm wasting my time. You go through like little things like that. But then one day, and it could be your worst day. It could be the day that you're like, man, I'm going to stay at home and sleep. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. I'm just in a bitch mood today. I'm angry, whatever. It's usually those days you go in on some of your worst days, and it's like you learn one small technique or you notice one little stupid detail. Like I'm talking about something as small as like grabbing the toes rather than the ankle or grabbing the toes rather than the middle of the foot. And all of a sudden your whole game just is better. It changes.
Yeah.
It one small stupid little thing makes you so effective. And I apply that to people going through it. You never know when you're going to walk in or you're going to find the one small solution to your problem that turns it around and you get better. And of course there's ups and downs. Like I don't think you're ever going to find the magic solution that makes it all go away. But
No.
you just like have to keep pushing. I remember, and this is the last thing I'll make it, and I'll switch it back to you. But I just remember seeing this picture, and it was two pictures. And in the top picture, it was like mining, like guys, like almost like dig dug, like it was like dirt, and this guy was mining, and his like dirt had like all these small little gems in it and stuff. And then he stopped, and there was like a gap of dirt with a big gem in it, like at the end. And he went back with his hands full of that, and then there was the one on the where the guy had nothing in his dirt and he was like this close to the huge diamond. And so the guy who had nothing but just kept digging was the one who found the big diamond that's worth more than all the little gems this guy was picking up along the way and before he turned around and gave up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so sometimes the biggest payout is just from pushing through the shit, you know?
I mean, that's 5,000% because of my short-term memory loss. Remember that just brain problem solving. Remember that before I caveat what you just said. Brain problem solving.
I'll write it down.
Okay. So with pushing through and the digging is like a perfect lead on to what I want to tell you about that. That's why I love what I found in jiu-jitsu because lately, like I'll be honest, my issues, my depression, my PTSD, which I don't even care about putting a label on anymore. I used to be like, I don't have fucking, I'm not a fucking pussy, you know, but like whatever. It hit me like a fucking wave, hard, man, fucking hard, and to this day I'm still struggling. In jujitsu, this is why the same reason I've been like biking 20 miles a fucking day. or running or go, it's just like all you can focus on is what you're learning and your breathing, even when you're just like about to fucking pass out of exhaustion. It brings everything down to one point of focus.
Yep.
And you're just focusing on your breathing, and it's a complete mental cleanse. It's a complete full body mental cleanse, not only mentally but physically too, because you're sweating everything out. You're exerting your whole body. Your mind has nowhere else to go, has no choice to go anywhere else but that exact moment. It's a pure healing process, is what I found in it, and I just fuck. That's why I'm just like honestly addicted. The other point I wanted to make is this is what I forgot to tell you before. It came back around like fucking Rain Man. Definitely. Is our brains are problem solvers. This is like part of the conversation we're having earlier today. They're created to be problem solvers. When you're an overthinker and you latch on to problems, especially when you have anxiety, you get caught in this OODA loop that you dwell on this problem to solve it over and over until in your right mind or your brain or your perspective or perception, it's resolved. Sometimes it's never ending. And so you just come back to, well, maybe I'm wrong. And then like blah, blah, blah. Like even down to the point of where like, why did I say that? I said that. Well, do you think like, fuck, I said this, when I was leaving and I hope they didn't take it that way, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I'm sure they didn't. I'm sure they didn't. I'm like, well, no, maybe they probably fucking did. You just keep going over and fucking over. But that grows exponentially into bigger life problems or mistakes, because we all make mistakes. And so you're just stuck with anxiety trying to solve this fucking problem because that's what your brain's tailored to do.
Right.
It's a fucking computer. And so breaking that cycle is something that's been very hard for me. But what I've learned to do is just bring yourself back to the moment. Like there's no use thinking about the past. I mean, you can learn lessons and move on, but there's no use sending your energy that way because it's already gone. You can't predict the future. None of us can. So there's no use sending your energy that way either. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because then if you send your energy that way, it's gone from the moment that you could be using with what's in front of you. Quiet yourself, listen, let things come to you, breathe. It's simple things. It really comes down to cognitive patterns, in my
So what has like really helped you?
having a goal, I would say. It was
Huge.
nice.
It's huge.
It's huge because it's not only something for you to look forward to, not in like an egotistical way, but like it gives you a drive. But when you have a goal and a direction, internally you have a purpose. We all have our purposes existing. Like I love my family, of course. My kids, that's my purpose number one. But there's a difference into where you're going too, because you can be a family man or have your principles, but if you're going nowhere in your direction as a man or woman or in this life to be a constructive, or I guess what I'm getting at is if you don't have something to drive yourself for, then you don't have a fucking steering wheel at all. And so where are you fucking going? You know, Spinning in fucking circles. I think that's very important. And I think healthy habits. I mean, I'm. This is a very hypocritical thing for me to say because I have horrible habits. Healthy habits, I think, is imperative too because it gives you self-discipline. A routine has helped me, but that self-discipline is huge because even if you don't fucking want to, like, oh, I don't feel like doing fucking laundry, down to stupid shit like I don't want to do laundry or I don't want to do the dishes or I'm not going to work out today. If you hold yourself accountable in those moments, you always on the back end come out feeling productive, feeling, your self-esteem goes up, because there's days where I was sat in my house the entire from morning to night in one fucking chair, and that just added to my depression because I'm like, what the fuck am I? What am I? Am I a fucking worm in the dark? When you force yourself into healthy habits, it reconstructs your brain, reconstructs your self-image. It's almost like self-talk. Talk to yourself like you're talking to someone that you would like to help. I have this weird conundrum that I'm able to talk to someone and bring themselves out of their darkness, but I don't even listen to the things I'm telling them. So it's like this weird, you know what I mean? So I've started making this healthy habit lately of talking to myself, even out loud sometimes. Who gives a fuck? Like I'm talking to somebody that I'm helping or who I've historically helped. You know, it's just things like that. It's cognitive direction.
And just to add to that, like, you might be doing it to hold yourself accountable. You know, you're not a hypocrite. So, like, you might be telling someone's a healthy habit. And because I remember doing the same thing, like, I would see people sad or messed up, and I would be telling them shit that, like, I'm kind of going through and haven't solved yet. But I did it because I'm like, well, fuck, now I have to hold myself accountable too. Like,
Yeah,
I can't
that's
live.
what being in relation.
I can't live with being a hypocrite or or fake. I hate fake. So
Yeah,
like well now just be that like small tricks like that would motivate me to like take the next step because I fucking just told this person to do it and I'm not
right.
about to be caught not doing it. You know what I mean?
No, in those moments when you help someone like that, they're looking up to you. You
Yeah,
know,
like Peter.
and yeah, and so like as small it is, in those moments when you pick someone up off the ground, they look up to you. So what are you if you're not practicing what you preach?
A snake. A snake in the grass, dude.
Serpent.
A serpent. Yeah, man. And I just like there's so much to it. I just wanted to share one thing that helped me a lot was in moments when I was depressed or moments where I was having a bad day or moments where it's just like there's like no dopamine or serotonin or any of that fucking shit going through my head. I would force myself to pick 3 things that were good in my day.
That's
And,
a
and if you feel like there was nothing good, then pick the 3 things were the best of your day. And that helped me like start like looking throughout my day for the good moments. So even if I didn't feel like, because I was waking up and I'm like, you know what? At this point, I know I'm not going to have a good day. I know I'm not going to have the best day I've ever experienced. So I'm just going to look for the good moments. And
yeah.
then from looking for the good moment, I started enjoying them more because I'm like, oh, here's one of the good moments. This is going to be one of the good moments of my day. So let me milk it. You know what I mean? And then
Oh
that
yeah.
made the good moments last a little bit longer. And actually, like, I was in the good moments. And then, you know, pretty soon it's like, well, fuck, now I can talk about good moments. And just from talking about good moments, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like now I'm almost reliving the good moment. Like this is a good moment in itself and talking about a good moment I had. And then it's like, so things like that grow. And it's just like little mind tricks like that I had to like figure out for myself, almost like survival. But it's like, um,
That's what it is.
I always promise myself that like when I get through this, I'm gonna do when I get through this, I want to share what I can because if it helps at least one person, then it was worth what I went through to help or stop another person from, you know, going down that same long ass multiple year road that I had to figure out.
At least you catch their hand before they fall. You know.
Yeah, you know,
Talk to my buddy. I won't say his name because I don't want to put his stuff out there. Very close to me, and I didn't know he was struggling until I brought it up. At the time, my dad became very, very sick. He wasn't supposed to survive what he was going through, and I found that out. I was at like a training in Texas.
the man is bulletproof.
That man is a fucking bull. Write a book about that guy. But so I get the bad news, but I'm in Texas and I can't do anything about it, you know. And he decided to share with me that he is suffering with severe anxiety, depression, like me. And he told me his therapist told him to practice gratitude. Just practice gratitude all day. And at first I didn't get it. I was like, okay, I do practice gratitude. Like I'm grateful for a lot of stuff. But then one day it clicked. I can't even pinpoint the day. It's all in the smallest whispers of a moment, and it's like right now, I'm grateful that I'm talking to you. You know, I'm grateful that I'm here in
Smelling
the
laundry.
you know what I mean. I'm grateful that you just go down the list. Like you start to realize gratitude is like the lifeblood of a positive mental attitude. It's when you start going down the list internally or mentally, even when you're driving down the road, you start to realize how much good there is as opposed to the bad that you're actually maybe even being played with. Maybe that's not even true, completely arbitrary in your life, but it starts to outweigh it. Light shines in the darkness and it always wash it out.
Yeah. And go to the light, Yeah. So I just wanted to do this shorter style episode for anyone out there who's suffering, like we already covered, through what you've been through and your PTSD. You're going down the line right now. I'm someone who's been down that line. Who knows? That's another scary thing. You never know if you're going to be there again.
Yeah,
But
it's okay though.
yeah, I mean, it's like something I feel like you learn to live with, and it's always worth holding on because you never know what's around the next corner. And it's like, what did I tell you? Like when we were talking on the phone, the first time we were talking about it. Oh, I lost my train of thought. But it was one of those things like kind of down the line of like, it'll pass.
Something I told my brother today. I'm going to cut you off, but I'm
Go ahead.
going to lose it.
I'm brain fart.
The sun has to rise.
Yep.
The sun has to rise. It has no choice.
And like you said, like maybe if something's bothering you, it might not be so selfish as to like it's just you. Maybe helping someone will make you feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be the most depressed person walking down the road and see a stray dog who hasn't eaten in weeks. And you know what I mean?
Random act of kindness go a long way.
Take that thing and give it water. I guarantee you feel good about your day,
Yeah.
if you're a normal person.
Keep it to yourself,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Was there anything you wanted to add or close with to, advice or anything to give to somebody, or what would you tell someone going through it face to face?
Just this sounds cliche, but the first thing I would want to say for anyone to hear is like, obviously you're not alone. It's all relative, and there's people in darker places than you and me. But at the same time, we have the ability to project our own change in energy. Just like, there's times where I've been puking on the floor of the bathroom out of a pure, like I thought I was dying. Like the moments I'm like, this is why people like put a bullet in their mouth type moments. But then you just ground yourself. You feel something around you. Listen to the air condition. Even if you're like, I would be in these cold sweats, but at least I could feel the cold sweat. Just ground yourself. I would say for me, I don't know if anyone's religious out there, but I pray all day long. Just know you can't stop time. Everything ends in time. Everything. Even our lives. And in your darkest moments, your solace is your fortitude. And all you have to do is make it one more second. That's it. And that grows into your entire lifetime. That builds on your philosophy and it projects a completely different path in your life. Even if you fall back down, you already know the blueprint. All you need is one more second.
Gross, man. And do jiu-jitsu.
Oops. And do
jiu-jitsu. It definitely helped me.
Swear by it now.
Huh?
I said I swear by it now.
Yeah, maybe you'll have your white belt soon.
Yeah, I'm good with pink.
Dude, that pink belt, most underestimated belt in the sport, guys.
Listen,
don't sleep on it. Yeah, at least you don't got the black eye today.
It's going away a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah.
But hey, dude, thanks for doing this again. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for pushing through. And thanks for not being a little bitch and actually like not internalizing it and sharing it and like not being afraid to like be like, hey man, like that that humility is something. People live in this world now where they just see perfect everywhere, especially now with influencers and fucking what goes viral is usually the dumbest. It's not like you ever see something like this with a good message go viral. Not too often. Not as often as you see like some stupid trend like planking or
eating Tide Pods or whatever.
yeah, stuff like that, man. So for those out there, it's okay not to be it's okay to not feel normal. It's okay not to be normal. It's okay not to think the same as everyone else. Thinking different.
Fuck is normal. Just be yourself. Fuck, we're all individuals.
What the media tells you.
Don't be a fucking robot or a sheeple.
That's it. That's it. And that's where I'm leaving this bitch.
All right.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Love you.
Love you too, man.
I'll see you, man.
See ya.